everybody, this is Steve with Smitty's Flybox. Today we're going to tie the Scud for the beginner fly tying box. So we're going to start off here with just a regular old Scud hook. If you notice, it's got a little more curve to it. So these Scuds are basically freshwater shrimp, and so this is the proper hook. We're going to use 8/0 olive thread. I'm just going to start my thread there just along the front of the hook there and tie down that thread, clip off the excess. And the first thing I'm going to do is take this, I've got some uni mono thread here. It's basically like monofilament. We're going to use this for the ribs, so I'm just going to cut myself a little strand that's 3 or 4 inches long, and I'm just going to lay that right along the hook there and just come around and just tie that down, and then just hold that along the hook shank close to me and just make nice even wraps over the top away from me. We're going to tie this down around the bend of the hook just before that hook starts to kind of point down. We're going to let that hang there, that mono. We're going to let that hang. Now we're ready for the tail. And we're going to use, I've chosen some mallard flank feathers, so let's just pull those aside, and I want to get a nice little clump, something like that for the tail. We can snip that off. And I want that tail to be about half the length of the hook shank, so once we have that measurement about like that, I'm going to pinch it there with my left hand, and then I can come in here and carefully place it right there at that tie-in point and just roll that right around on top. So I just made kind of nice even wraps there. Now let's just go forward just a little ways just to tie that down. And I just have a little buggy tail out the back there. Alright, now the third material we're going to tie in is I have this, what's called Scud back from Hairline. And this is basically like a plastic material. We're going to use this to pull over the top to give it that kind of shell look that it needs. So I'm just going to take this piece of Scud back. Let's come forward just a ways, maybe about halfway. Then I have a nice area there to tie that in. So I'm just going to hold it there carefully along the side of the hook like that and come around with like a loose wrap and just gather all that. And now I can make a few more turns up here. Now let's just hold it right along the top of the hook and just try to keep that position, and we're going to tie that down again all the way to the bend to the base of our tail. So I've got 3 materials all tied in there basically at the same spot. We're going to let that hang. Alright, now we're ready for our dubbing. So I just have some good old Scud dubbing. I sent you a few different colors in your box. I'm going to go with gray here. So this is kind of a spiky dubbing here, so I'm going to just start off and just pinch off a little bit right there like that, and we're going to carefully dub this, try to cover 1 inch or 2 of that thread, and I'm not going to dub it really super tight because we're going to comb this out later. So I'm just going to get it kind of started on my thread, and then I can begin this dubbing process. And if it looks a little spiky, that's good. That's what we want. I'm just going to work my way forward, and I want to cover that hook shank. I'm going to get a little thicker here in the center part. The tendency is to get too much dubbing, so you can always add a little bit if you need to, but that's about right there. So just about halfway, that's looking pretty good. I'm going to put a little hot spot. So I've got this orange dubbing. Give it just a little bit of a hot spot belly. So I don't need much at all, just a little accent color there. 1 little small section there, just pretty subtle. I don't want to overdo it. Just a little orange right there, and then we're going to continue on with more of the gray. So let's just work our way forward. And we'll just continue on here, working our way forward. And that should be just about right. Now I want to be careful that I don't crowd the head too much because I've got to tie down all these materials right there. So That looks pretty good. I want to keep an eye length back somewhat open there. Okay, now we're going to take the scud back first and just pull that over the top like that. That's kind of how we want it to look, to just kind of wrap around or encase that fly. And I'm not going to stretch it too much, but once I'm there, I'm going to just pinch it so that it doesn't slip around on me too bad. And we're going to make 3 or 4 good turns there to bite down into that. Let's make a couple turns underneath. And now I can pull this straight up and snip off the excess. Alright, now we're ready for the ribbing. We're going to bring this over the top away from us. And just space this out nicely over everything. Just working our way forward like so. And that really gives it that segmented scud look. And once we reach the eye of the hook, hold that with my right hand and we'll drop my thread over with my left hand. Now one little tip here, sometimes that eye of the hook is pointed down. Sometimes your thread and stuff want to slip off. So when you're at the step, just maybe rotate your fly somewhat in the vise there, then it keeps it from slipping off the front. So we'll hold that there, we'll tie that off. 3 or 4 good turns, and then we can snip off the excess right there. And now we can come in here, and you might have a few whiskers there. Just build a nice little neat head and cover up any of those whiskers sticking up the front there. We're ready for our whip finish. Like that. Okay, not quite done yet. We need to pick out some of this dubbing and give it that scud look. Forgot a dubbing brush. Okay.
That's the best one for that.
Okay. Is there like a little Velcro one too, just for like that little Stonfo one? Is that one there too? You know, the little,
on that other table. I don't know.
a little comb. Oh yeah. Yeah. I was just going to show a few different ways to do it. Is this still playing? Okay. So now what you want to use, if you have like a little dubbing brush, something like this, that's a little wire brush, pretty readily available at different places. This is a little fly tying tool. It's got almost like a Velcro. What you want to do is just kind of come in here and brush out that dubbing and just pick some of those fibers out. We'll rough it up there underneath, and then we want to get some little feelers out there to make it look like a little bug. And if you want, you can come in here and just snip those even with the bottom of the hook, and that gives it a little bugginess there. So there's a hot spot scud. Put a little head cement on that, but that thing's ready to fish.